Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency on IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Ease me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapters so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button and tell your friends and tell your enemies. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, I review a list of sedans that unfortunately are going away. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Jeff Perez. And they say, quote, "These 10 sedans are dying next year, and it's just the beginning. As the market share for traditional family four-door vehicle dwindles, the future outlook for sedans looks pretty bleak," which is unfortunate because a couple of them are actually fun. Well, maybe not this one. Looks like a boring Volvo, which, they're always known for safety, but in terms of what I like, having 3 pedals, also known as a manual transmission, and a fun time, they're not so much at Volvo these days, but nevertheless. Jeff Perez says, quote, "Sedans are a dying breed. The traditional family four-door has essentially disappeared from the U.S. as SUVs continue their dominance. Heading into the next year, 10 sedans are reportedly on the chopping block. Some will be replaced by SUVs, while others will head to the big junkyard in the sky with no successor in sight," which, spoiler, it's usually because of profit margins. Americans are willing to overpay comically for SUVs and trucks. I mean, this is also what killed the subcompact car like the Chevrolet Cruze back all those years ago, which I thought was a great first car. I love my little Chevy Cruze. It had a turbo and a stick shift from the factory. But the issue is with the small cars and budget cars, there's no margin. On the Chevy Cruze, a dealer would lose about $485 per vehicle sold. So the only way they had made any money was with financing and accessories and service, which again, most vehicles, they'll make more money in service throughout the life cycle of the car than the actual sale in the car itself for dealerships. But even the manufacturer level, they don't make a lot of money on those vehicles either. However, when it comes to like a Chevy Silverado, their most popular truck they sell, instead of losing $400 or basically nothing, they make like $10,000. Like, it is comical how much gross profit is in those vehicles. And again, that's why all these manufacturers are pivoting more and more to SUVs and trucks. Because Americans love them, and they're willing to pay, $1,200 a month or whatever for those, I think, audaciously high monthly payments for a vehicle. But yeah, people are wondering, why are these cars going away? Well, it's mostly just profit margin. They're not as good as the big vehicles. That is the biggest variable of why we don't see a lot of small subcompact cars. And in this case, we're seeing fewer and fewer sedans. Now, they say, quote, "Some popular models have somehow survived this mass extinction event, and their makers, at least for now, have no plans of replacing them. The BMW 3 Series certainly isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Honda won't ditch the beloved Civic," which, of course not. The Honda Civic is one of the best cars of all time. Obviously, I'm biased. I love my green Honda Civic Si, Gen 10, the stick shift only. And fun fact of the day, Honda Civic, that car sold more stick shifts than any other car on the planet. So if you want to support the manual transmission, buy a Honda Civic Si. They're awesome. But yeah, in terms of Honda's portfolio, they have like 5 cars consistently have done well past couple decades. Civic is one of them. They move a lot of those units. So yeah, they're not getting rid of the Civic anytime soon. They also note that the Tesla Model 3 continues to be a big seller year after year, but not every automaker is as fortunate. Which, also, I think I know why. Demand for Nissan sedans has dwindled. The Maxima left the market in 2024, and although not confirmed, the Altima and Versa are reportedly on the chopping block going into next year. Which, they say some reports suggest the Altima production might continue through 2027, as the brand's electric vehicle strategy remains in flux, but it remains unclear. Now, Nissan, and again, I love the Nissan Z. If I won the lottery, I'd get one of those fun, turbo V6. One of those turbo V6 coupes. It even has the manual e-brake where you actually pull a handle. It's not electronic. Again, that's a fun, great sports car. But the issue with Nissan, in terms of the volume of their sales, it really is the sedans, and they're going downhill, both in quality and quantity. A couple years ago, their CVT transmissions were basically grenades that would inevitably break and explode. And that just destroyed the brand's reputation. Everyone I know who got a Nissan Altima, which does have BAE energy, I'll give them that much. Great Facebook page, it's hilarious. But yeah, the vehicles just have no semblance of responsibility. So Nissan really only exists because of subprime credit applications. Like Nissan Credit, if you have a beat, if your heart beats once every 3 minutes, Nissan Credit will give you that vehicle on probably 500% interest rate. But I mean, Nissan Credit helps move those vehicles more than anything else on the planet. And that's, I think, the only reason Nissan makes any sales these days at all. But I'm sorry, this might hurt your eyes. We're going to look at the Nissan Altima on the screen here, which it's bland. Now they say the new Sentra debut this year as Nissan aims to keep its Civic rival around for another generation at a minimum. Which I don't think anyone who is looking at Honda Civic would consider Nissan Sentra to be a competitor. I mean, maybe it's in the same size and weight category, but I mean, it's one of those things where I was about to say I would be. I did pay more for a Honda than a Nissan, partially because of the reliability, and I love my baby pretty much ever since. Obviously, I'm biased. They say, quote, but not even as a brand's compact sedan is a sure thing heading into market that's more volatile than ever. Subaru finds itself in a similar situation. I'll pull that on screen here. Ugh. That is certainly a Subaru, though not in a good way. Now they say, quote, Subaru finds itself in a similar situation. Demands for the once popular Legacy has plummeted with sales of the mid-size sedan at fewer than 20,000 units in 2024, which that's terrible. For like a luxury exotic vehicle, that'd be pretty good, but again, with these vehicles, they need economies of scale. This needs to be a massive volume of units being pushed out, and not so much. They say it compares to the brand's bestseller, the Crosstrek SUV, which saw more than 181,000 units leave dealership lots over the same time period, which, yeah, you can kind of guess, can I see the writing on the wall? Where will the business put more effort into something? And again, because maybe if that was a WRX STI, which they should bring back, but, that low number of units, I mean, at a certain point, it just doesn't make any economic viability to keep a plant running dedicated to that line if it is on a dedicated plant assembly line. Now, they say after 35 years of production in the U.S., Subaru has confirmed the Legacy won't make it to 2026, which really stinks because that was always funny to make the joke of, your parents could, leave you their legacy, not really money or riches, but their Subaru, which I thought it was funny, but nevertheless. Over on the luxury side, Audi dropped these compact A4 to make room for newer, more expensive A5 and A6 models. At least those sedans are sticking around. BMW is giving the 8 Series Grand Coupe a retro send-off with a special edition, while Volvo's S60 and X90 won't return for 2026. After a decade on the market, the Acura is officially saying goodbye to the TLX. The TLX is an especially interesting one. Acura's answer to the BMW 3 Series has struggled in recent years. Wow, this is really rough. I thought 20,000 units was rough. This is worse. Yeah, the Acura only sold 7,478 units last year, down from 16,731 in 2023. Even at its peak in 2025, with over 47,000 sales, the TLX still lagged behind rivals at BMW and Mercedes-Benz. The Acura will effectively replace the gas-powered TLX with a new all-electric RSX SUV, which will take over production at the company's Maryland, Ohio manufacturing plant. They say, according to Nissan, the RSX will I try not to laugh, folks. Better align with the evolving needs of the consumers in the challenging landscape of the automotive industry. Which, again, there's a market for EV SUVs. Not great for the companies because they mostly lose money on them, but there's a market for them. I can't but think Tesla's dominated the market so well past couple of years to entertain an an EV SUV to deviate from Tesla. I don't know how much Honda could really steal from market share. Or Acura, obviously Honda is the parent company behind Acura. Now, they did know that considering that Acura's best sellers in 2024 were the RDX at 42,998 units and the MDX at 50,112 units, and with a recent arrival of the new ADX, adding another SUV to lineup might make sense from a sales perspective. To get a better idea which sedans may potentially leave the market next year, here's a list. The Acura TLX, the Audi A4, BMW 8 Series Grand Coupe, which, I'll put the Volvo on screen there, which actually doesn't look too bad for a Volvo. That actually looks kind of sporty. Now, obviously, doesn't have a good enough powertrain for me, or third pedal, which that would get my attention. But nevertheless, that actually looks not too shabby. You're also losing the Chevrolet Malibu, which has been around for, decades upon decades, and was one of the biggest volume of units sold under the Chevrolet brand over at General Motors. The Genesis electrified G80, no one's going to miss that. Rumored Nissan Altima, Nissan Versa, the Subaru Legacy, and the Volvo S60 and S90. They say this marks one of the largest sedan die-offs in recent memory. Going into 2025, the market lost 8 sedans, ranging from the performance-focused Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio I can't pronounce that. I'm not Italian, I'm sorry. And also, it's a terrible vehicle because it's made by Alfa Romeo Stellantis, so you don't need to know that car anyway. The budget-friendly Mitsubishi Mirage G4, which, bang for your buck. If you need, it was a new car under 15 grand in the United States, that was insanely good for the consumer. 3 cylinders, but again, pretty good fuel economy, pretty simple technology, just, gas engine. A lot of people make fun of me, the Mitsubishi Mirage. For the category that I was going after, I thought it was actually a really excellent engineering and development. They say the numbers are steady, but they're also trending upward. While several of the sedans dying in 2022 to 2024 received replacements, Dodge introduced the electric Charger. Yeah, that's going to be a failure. Acura swapped the ILX for the Integra, and Toyota replaced the Avalon with a Crown. Fewer and fewer four doors are remaining in the market. So, kind of sad to see these. And again, because I don't know, I'm just not an SUV guy. But again, it's sad because there's fewer and fewer choices for the consumer when it comes to sedans. I do think Infiniti is. I think they're going to read the room right in terms of coming out with a performance sedan. There's still a market for that. I still wish Chevy actually did some proper marketing behind the Chevrolet SS, which again was just a hold-in, from Australia that they put a new Chevrolet bow tie logo on it. But again, that was one of those things held their value pretty darn well, and it showed that people like the sports sedans, and that sold without people even knowing about it. But let me know, of all these vehicles that are disappearing from the market, which one are you going to miss the most? And do you think they're making a mistake? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.